Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with podcast number 9 this week. Again, joined by John. How are you today, John?
I'm good, thanks.
Back from the UK, back from England?
Yep. I just popped over for a couple of days last weekend.
Because you can't get back for Christmas this year?
Yeah, it's actually the first time in probably about 12 years that we haven't gone back for Christmas. Normally go back with the family. And Emma's going to have her first Christmas day in Spain since she can remember anyway.
Yeah, because she normally celebrates it there.
Yeah, it's they find Christmas a lot more Christmassy back home in the UK, and they like going back and seeing all the family, grandparents and everything, so it's going to be a bit of a weird Christmas for us this year. Yeah,
so we'll talk about that, actually, the more Christmassy aspect of Christmas in the UK than here. What's your opinion of Christmas here? So obviously you don't think it is as elaborated as it is in the UK?
I think the atmosphere, the Christmas atmosphere is a lot better in the UK in general. It's not, Christmas isn't bad here. It's just that we do tend to go to town, if you like, with the lights, a lot of lights. The decorations tend to be very different everywhere you go. Whereas here, you go down the street and the whole of the main road or the Gran Via in Madrid, it's the same lights all the way down. Very pretty, but it's all the same lights. Whereas a little bit more varied in the UK. A lot more colours, and normally the decorations in the shop windows, very rarely you would find a shop window that hasn't got a Christmas decoration in it.
Yeah.
And they're all different, and some of them are quite unique as well. They've made themselves and things, so it's something very different, and the kids love it.
So there's more of a Christmas spirit in that regard.
Yeah.
And the actual way they celebrate Christmas here is different in the sense that the main Christmas dinner's on the 24th, Christmas Eve. Christmas lunch is a bit of more, let's say, it's not as important as the 24th. It's, at least from my experience, from what I've seen, no?
Personally, from my experience, whenever we've had Christmas in Spain, we've always celebrated Christmas on the 24th, which I've got to admit, for me...
Dinner.
Yeah, it was a dinner, sorry. It was really weird for me at the beginning. It was like celebrating Christmas a day early. And then, of course, people started exchanging presents on the 24th. It was like, well... Father Christmas hasn't been yet, what's going on? So it was a very weird situation. And then the 25th, my wife's family, they don't really do anything on the 25th. And I remember one year we actually went to the cinema.
On the 25th?
On the 25th. Yeah. It was a really weird Christmas, yeah. And that's probably one of the reasons why we started going back to the UK for Christmas, because the kids loved the Christmas atmosphere in the UK, and we have to be here for New Year's Eve and for Three Kings, my wife's stipulation. So we have to make sure we're back for that.
Well, that's the other point. It's the Three Kings, or the day that they call here Reyes, which traditionally has been the bigger day. I think the 24th is important, of course. Let's not take importance away from that for the general population here in Spain. But the day that they did traditionally exchange gifts was the 6th of January. That was the day that the gifts arrived, which was the probably the reason that they didn't wait for Santa Claus to come down the chimney. And it's the day when, a lot of the families do get together as well. So it's that extended period as well. What I find in Australia is that, of course, you've got Christmas Day, Boxing Day on the 26th, New Year's Eve, and then it's back to work. Yeah. Everything gets back to normal. But here it's prolonged, let's say, until the 6th, the 7th of January. So it's quite a long festive
it is.
Period.
It's a long festive period, but it's kind of watered down, I think, in a way, because of the length of the period. So it's not quite so much of a big celebration on Christmas. So I think that's probably why it's so different. One of the reasons why it's so different.
And then when it comes to the lights, there's always people complaining about the lights and the cost and all of those things as well.
Yeah.
Whenever they stick the lights in the Gran Via, as you said, or the ones they put up here in this area, there is people that do protest and and say, how much is this costing the state, and all of those things along those lines. So it's always a little bit controversial. In fact, the kindergarten that my son went to a few years ago, they didn't celebrate Christmas.
Really?
No. They took the extreme left point of view that the day should be a celebration for everybody.
Yeah.
And not to only focus on the Christian aspect.
But this always makes me laugh because if you really analyse Christmas now, Christmas isn't a religious holiday for a very large percentage of people that celebrate it. I am not religious in the slightest little way, not at all. But I love Christmas. Do I love it because of religion? No. I love it because of what it is, the fun, the atmosphere, everything that goes with the traditions. I love all of it, the whole thing. I love the whole lot, especially the getting together with family. It's a good excuse to get together with family. And it's one of the occasions where you know everyone's going to be off of work. So you can have a bank holiday somewhere, but then someone goes away for a weekend. You never get everyone together. Whereas Christmas, it's one of those occasions where everyone's off work. Very few people tend to be travelling over Christmas unless they're going to visit family elsewhere. So you can get more people together. So to me, Christmas is always something really special, not religious at all for me. No. And I think a lot of people are like that.
And for me, the difference is, of course, the weather. In Australia, Christmas obviously is summertime, and you normally spend your Christmas day waiting for the Boxing Day test to begin on the 26th of January, or at least a lot of people do. And you wear shorts and you have a barbecue and you're outside. And for me, the colder type weather, it doesn't snow here, so it's just like a type of bleak, grey type of Christmas, which is, typical like the day we have today, where you walk outside and everything's completely grey. There's no sun and there's no snow, so no leaves on the trees. So it's a fairly what's the word? A little bit depressing for me, I think, this time of the year.
Really? Nah. I just make sure I've got my house well decorated with lights, Christmas decorations everywhere. And we just have Christmas music on, and we make the most of it. There's no snow, but we enjoy it just the same. Even my students come over and they start sort of like getting all excited because I've got all the decorations up.
Yeah, yeah. But you've never had a Christmas in the sun, though, right?
I've been. I think it was probably must be about 15, 16 years ago now when I was living in Mallorca. There was a point where I was about to move to, it was about 17 years ago. I was about to move to Madrid, and to break it up a little bit, I actually went to see my mum and dad in Tenerife for Christmas, and I stayed there for Christmas and New Year in Tenerife. So I've had a Christmas in the sun before, but probably, from my memory, it's probably the only one.
Yeah, because the Canary Islands, again, place where the weather's good all year round. That's right, yes. So if you want to escape the winter blues, head down to the Canary Islands. Closest thing to summer you'll get at this time of the year, I suppose.
It's pretty much 24, 25 degrees pretty much all year round down there. It's lovely weather, really. It's perfect. It's not too hot, not too cold. Because
there's nowhere on the Spanish mainland that you can get good weather this time of year. So
not guaranteed, no.
No, maybe you get a few sunny days down on the Costa del Sol, Alicante. You might get a few sunny days as well.
I had one Christmas in Mallorca where I actually spent Christmas lunchtime. I was on my own at the time, and I spent about 2 hours of the Christmas lunchtime on the beach with my dog. It wasn't fantastic weather, but it was nice and sunny, and it must have been about 20 degrees. So
just a nice day.
Yeah,
a nice day. And we're in the middle of the Puente season here in Spain as well. For those of you not familiar with the concept Puente, it's where there's a public holiday in the middle of the week. I think we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. There's a public holiday in the middle of the week, and people normally take a couple of extra days in that week as well. Yeah. And this time of the year, it's very, very difficult to, not necessarily to get things done, but from a work point of view, self-employed point of view, a lot of public holidays really affect you at the end of the month, or at least that's what I find as well.
Yeah. I always had the issue where I was I had to obviously charge for what I was doing. So I'm self-employed, and if I didn't have classes, I didn't earn any money. So the puentes were a nightmare because people just went away for a whole week, and you could literally lose 25% of your income in a month. I sort of kind of adapted my classes to that about 2.5 years ago, actually, because of it was literally just because of the puentes. So I took the 9 month period of classes that I have. Took what money I was wanting to earn over that 9 month period and split it between 9 months, and now all my students pay exactly the same amount of money every month. Even if there's puentes or school holidays or anything, they pay the same amount. So I know that I'm getting a wage every month.
So you're prepared for it.
Covers me. Yeah, it just covers me for it. Rather than not having any money 1 month and having a lot more the following month, well, it just splits it out, and I have an average wage throughout the whole working period.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the calendar for this month, the 6th of December is a holiday. The 8th of December is a holiday as well. This year it falls on a Saturday, so it's not going to affect us too much. But when that does fall in the middle of the week, you get the Monday and the Wednesday, or the Tuesday and the Thursday, or even the Wednesday and the Friday, that's a whole week that's gone, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like today. Today I've got classes. I normally have 2 classes in the morning, and then I have 5 classes in the evening. And today I've got my second class was cancelled. My last class tonight's cancelled.
So people are cancelling.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I mean, I think tonight I have 5 classes tonight. 4 children in each class, all children's classes tonight. One of the classes is cancelled completely because all the children are away. And the other classes, I don't think there's a single class where I've actually got all 4 of them here. There's either 1 or 2 missing in the other classes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because everybody goes away. It's one of the biggest holidays of the year. The Constitution holiday, 40 years I think they're celebrating this year, 40 years of the Spanish Constitution, 1978 to 2018, so 40 years. We're celebrating the Constitution, and everybody goes away. Everybody hops in the car, everybody hops on a plane, everybody hops on a train, and they go somewhere else. And a lot of people come to the capital city. Madrid is full of people from other regions this particular holiday because of the Christmas decorations, and they go to the Plaza Mayor, and they walk down the Gran Via, and they do all of the the Christmas,
all the touristy stuff. Yeah, there's a very weird tradition
stuff.
of wearing funny coloured wigs at Christmas in Madrid. Yeah, if you go down to the centre of Madrid, you'll find people selling or wearing
funny wigs.
Like tinsely type wigs. It's very very weird. I don't quite get how that managed to get itself into a Christmas tradition in Spain. But yeah, if you have a look down there in Madrid now, you'll find a lot of people going around with green and red wigs.
Yeah, I know a lot of people come here and they go to like some type of special bakeries or. I think it's a bakery, the Mallorquina. Have you been to that one?
The Mallorquina is in this corner of Calle Mayor.
And they have like some type of, what do they call it, a chocolate pastry. And
roscones as well. They'll be selling, always sell early.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all of these typical things. There's a sweet for every occasion. The Roscón de Reyes, that's right, yes. I don't like it very much. It's a little bit...
I quite like it. It's not
you
bad.
like it?
Yeah, it's all right, yeah. Quite like it. It's not my favourite, but yeah, it's a slice or 2 over 3 Kings. Yeah, quite nice.
Yeah, I'm not really into those sweet things. That's why I don't get into this. Or the Napolitana de Chocolate, which is the one from the Mallorquina there in the centre. And also, you can't even get into the place. I mean, there's literally thousands and thousands of people queuing to get it.
Oh yeah, and it's like the lottery as well. You go try and get a lottery now this weekend in Madrid, the Christmas lottery, and you'll be queuing outside for ages because there's specific places that sell the lottery in the centre of Madrid, which are very famous. They've been
Doña Manolita.
Yeah, exactly. Where they've won the Gordo a few times, and people get there because they think it's lucky.
Do you buy a ticket?
I always get a lottery ticket every year. Yeah, I mean it's. You think about it, if you spend €2 or €2.50, is it now, Euro Millions, and you've got 20 million to 1 chance of actually winning a decent amount of money, it's just ridiculous. And then these tickets, the lottery tickets for Spain, I actually really love the way the Spanish do their lottery tickets. I mean, It's €20 for a Christmas one. It is expensive. It's really a lot of money. So normally you sort of buy one. You maybe
€20 to win to how much? What's if you spend that 20?
Maximum prize is 400,000.
Okay, so
but there's tax on that. So you actually walk away with about 320.
20%.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not one person. So you could a lot of people can have the same ticket. So you could have 100 people that walk away. I don't know if it's 100 people or something like that will walk away with 400,000.
But if you have that 20, that's what you win if your number comes up.
With the 20
400,000. That's right.
Yeah.
So I think you divide it's 4 million divided by 10. I think for that. Decimo? It's called a decimo, that's
but
right.
then you've got series as well, so there's more than 20 people that win it.
Yeah. But the minimum you're going to get is if your number comes up by spending 20 is 400,000. So it's not
the maximum.
Yeah. The maximum. That's right. Yeah.
But they've got other prizes as well. So I mean, there's the second prize. I don't know, it's 200,000 or something. Can't remember now. But you've got other prize breakdowns as well. So you've got decent amount of prizes, and I think what was there 100,000 numbers? I think 999.
I've never really
99,900.
I've never really gone into the details because I don't normally. I buy a lottery ticket just because you're forced to, basically.
it's difficult. In some ways, you are. Yeah,
it's difficult to escape it. Everybody's sticking one in your face this time of the year. Whether it's a decimo, a 10% share, I think, or a participation in the kids' schools, sporting clubs are always trying to sell you one as well. So you end up spending, I think, you can't get away for spending less than 50 this time of the year.
No, the thing is you're under quite a lot of pressure to buy them as well. So especially, I mean, if you work in a company,
it's such a tradition.
Company have their own number as well, and they sell their own number within the employees. Well, if you imagine you're in a company of, say, a small company, 20 employees, and you're the only one that hasn't bought a ticket and they actually win something.
Yeah, well, that's what they get you on every time.
Yeah, so you kind of get this pressure, you've got to buy one, So, yeah, it's something that happens every year, and you end up, I think I always end up with about 3 tickets.
Yeah, it's difficult to avoid. Now, there were a couple of comments on one of the videos we did a couple of weeks ago. There's one in particular that I want to point out, talking about the medical and pharmaceutical industry, from Dean Alsop, and he says that he would like to hear our take on that particular industry in Spain. In the tourist areas, there seems to be a pharmacy every few miles, and a lot of people from the UK, older generations that is, travel to Spain to buy their medicine at a discounted price, and things that are controlled in the UK seem readily available over the counter. Your take on medicines, John?
I think the pharmacies, or the chemists, if you like, have got a lot stricter here over the last sort of 15, 20 years compared to what I remember. I used to be able to get an inhaler. I'll get hay fever and
asthma.
Yeah, I get a bit of asthma. I'll probably only use it twice a year, I think. But I had an inhaler from the UK and it expired. The expiry date had gone. I thought, better get a new one. So I went and asked in the chemist down in Madrid. I think it was probably about 2002, 2003, and they actually gave me one over the counter without a prescription, which I was quite surprised about. So that was very easy to get hold of. Now it's impossible to get now. I have to get a prescription for the inhaler now. Okay, so they've definitely clamped down on it a bit. But it's very, very much true. There are some medications that you can get either in bigger quantities or without a prescription here, which you would need in the UK.
Yeah. So some of the over-the-counter drugs also we mentioned before seem to be a lot stronger. Even your basic things like your paracetamol and what was the other one we mentioned?
Ibuprofen.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because that's I think 200 milligram maximum size tablet in the UK, or at least over the counter. It's maximum 200 milligram tablets.
Or you can also get it in a supermarket in the UK as well.
Yeah, that's the one good thing. In England, you can get in the UK, you can get the sort of basic medication, paracetamol, Nurofen, even cough medicine in some cases. I think you can actually get in some of the supermarkets. They have the little chemistry section as well. you can get these things there, whereas here they don't really. They don't sell anything. Medication.
You got to go to a chemist. Yeah. I remember even when I first came here that if you wanted to buy, I didn't have a child at the time, but if you even wanted to buy baby food, you had to go to a chemist.
Really?
Yeah, I'm talking 20 years ago, before we had kids.
Yeah.
That was deregulated, and now you can buy them in supermarkets, as you said, all of that type of stuff. So things are changing. Some things become stricter, some things become obviously less regulated. The thing that I find also is that not only are some of those basic things a lot stronger, like the paracetamol, up to 1 gram, I think it is.
Paracetamol is up to 1 gram. I think
you can buy easily over the counter.
The ibuprofen's at least up to 600, if not 1 gram as well.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
And if you do have a condition, if you've got high blood pressure, cholesterol, and all of those type of things, to get that type of medicine is also a lot cheaper. If you have a prescription, or even if you don't have a prescription, I mean, comparing some medicines that I see. So, for example, high blood pressure pills, very, very cheap here, even without. Well, you need to get a prescription for that, but the price is quite reasonable. But things that you don't need a prescription for example, if you've got a problem with your thyroid, for example, and you need to get some type of medication for that, which is not. You don't need a prescription for that. It's a lot cheaper here to buy that medication than it is in Australia. I think you pay €3.50 for 4 months of treatment.
Really?
And I think in Australia you can pay anywhere up to close to 50 Australian dollars for the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had to get a prescription from the UK for a long time, so I'm not sure what the prices are now. But just comparing the price of ibuprofen, which I take every now and again because I have sinusitis, so I have to take it every now and again for the headaches and that, just to clear the inflammation.
Yeah.
And the difference in price compared to the UK, especially considering they're like 3 times stronger as well, it's quite amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good for a hangover.
Don't get many hangovers. Not a big drinker, me. I get a few.
I'm not saying that I get a lot, but every now and again, like after Christmas, if you want to get rid of your hangover, you take one of these 1 gram of paracetamol, and it goes pretty quickly. The other question, he says here that in the UK, getting an appointment is sometimes 2 weeks for a minor ailment. And he says that medical centres in Spain are not full of people with minor colds and those things that a lot of people don't tend to go to the medical centres. Now, this is one point that I think the system here has definitely got worse over the last few years. We have a local medical centre down. Do you go to the local one down here?
I go to the one at Santa Monica.
Oh, you go to Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go to this one just down the road here. It's a bit closer to where we are, and you don't get an appointment quickly there.
No. In Santa Monica. Last time I tried to get an appointment there, I think I went in on I don't know if it was a Monday or something. It was about 9-10 days for an appointment, and I'd just fallen off a ladder and done my knees in. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
So what they say is that they want you to go to the or they tell you that if you have a serious problem, go to the emergency services, which obviously is not the best thing to do, but that's what they tell you. So I think you can you can book your appointment online. But that's pretty disastrous. Sometimes it's 2 weeks to try to get in there, and it's very difficult to get in to sometimes see the doctor in the time that you want. People are not going to the medical centre with small things. I reckon it's the complete opposite. I reckon it's full of people with minor complaints.
Full of
people with a cold or a cough. Yeah. That's just my experience. I mean, I don't know. In fact, I heard a story once. Somebody said here, because a lot of the retirees spend their day going to the medical centres and the banks and these things. And I remember I heard a joke once, and there was all of these retired people at the medical centre, and they said, "Where's Juan? Haven't seen him for a while." And one of the persons said, "Well, he must be sick if he's not here." at the medical centre, of course. So that was a joke that was going around. So there is a logjam, let's say, in the medical system, at least here in Madrid. I don't know in other communities, because remember that health is controlled by the different communities around Spain. So it could vary according to where you are.
Definitely, yeah.
But in Madrid, all I can say is you don't get an appointment the same day, not even sometimes in the same week, depending on the luck or the time of the year.
Yeah, you normally get asked to, if you want an appointment, it's something you think is urgent, they'll just say, well, sit in the waiting room, and when there's an appointment that comes through, it's a bit like just waiting and trying your luck, really. And if they get a free moment, they send for you.
And that's another thing, the waiting times. I mean, I've had appointments for 10 o'clock, and you don't get in sometimes until 11:15. So
when I hurt my knee, I finally went in to see the doctor, and I think my appointment was for 39 minutes past 10 or something like that. You get this specific minute, and I think it got to about 10 past 11, and I asked the woman next to me, I said, "You've been here since before I was here. So what time was your appointment?" And her appointment was like 10:25 or something, and I was 15 minutes after her, and she hadn't even got in yet. So I think we were waiting there for a good hour in the end.
Yeah. So in that sense, there's not a lot of difference, I don't think. But anyway,
it's about the same.
All right, good. Yeah. So that's on the topic of medical and pharmaceutical issues here in Spain. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, John, is safety in Spain, whether or not you think Spain is a safe country to live in, a safe country to bring up your kids. My personal opinion is that it is fairly safe. I mean, we're living 20 kilometres more or less away from the biggest city in Spain. Big cities are normally crime hubs around the world. I know probably there's a lot more crime in London than there would be in Stony Stratford, for example, I imagine, of course. Per capita, I mean.
Of course.
And Madrid's no exception in that regard. But I do find Spain to be a safe country. I have mentioned this in other videos. I have never had a problem, touch wood, of course, with minor crime. I think the worst problem I've had is that my bicycle was stolen from the metro station down the road here. I wrote it down thinking I was going to be a good citizen and help the environment, and the first day, bang, it was gone. That's my only experience with crime, as I said, touch wood. John, what's your opinion?
I find Spain pretty safe. I mean, I don't really worry about crime too much here. There is more crime in Rivas than there was a few years ago, I think. I think it has incremented a bit. We've had a few more break-ins in houses. So there has been a big problem with storerooms being broken into, and garages.
In the warehouse area?
No, in the trasteros and the storerooms, like people's personal storerooms at the bottom of flats. So you've got a big block of flats. Yeah. Basically, as part of your flat, you get your flat, a garage space, normally in underground parking, and then there's normally a trastero, which is like a storeroom,
a place to leave your stuff.
To leave your stuff, basically.
What's it called? Trastero.
Mm-hmm. And there was a spate of robberies in trasteros where people were getting into these places and opening them up and stealing things out of there. So there are things going on. Personally, I've had my van broken into in the parking in my building.
This is when you were living in a flat?
When I was living in a flat. It was about 5 years ago. I had all my tools stolen out of the van, which was an absolute nightmare. It was about €4,000 worth of tools taken out the back of the van. But apart from that, it's just little things here and there you hear about. There is a spate of robberies with cars. There's some cars that have been stolen, and batteries from cars.
Oh, really?
Stolen, yeah. It's kind of a weird
thing. But nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing. I certainly haven't heard much of any violent crime in Rivas. So when it comes to safety, I'm really not too concerned. Obviously, I don't like my daughters going out at night time when it's dark. But I think that's just a general parenting thing. They're not allowed to take the dog out once it's gone dark. I'll do that myself. But
to avoid any reasons.
Yeah, but they're only 9 and 12, so I mean, I think that's pretty normal.
But walking down the street in Madrid, for example, obviously somebody might try to steal your wallet or your phone or your camera or something along those lines. But it doesn't necessarily tend to be violent crime in that regard. No,
I've actually it's quite funny. I'm on another Facebook page with all the teaching assistants from Madrid. And the amount of teaching assistants, mainly Americans, that have their phones stolen, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely crazy. So there's obviously a lot of pickpockets going around Madrid, and they obviously look for people that look touristy and that aim at those people.
Well, yeah. I mean, tourists are an easy target in any city, whether it's Barcelona, whether it's Madrid, whether it's Paris, whether it's Venice, whether it's Rome, whether it's London as well, I suppose.
Any capital city.
Any capital city, that's right, because you get people specifically targeting tourists for the reasons that, firstly, they're not here for a long time, so they might not even report it.
Yep.
And the other issue is that if you don't speak the local language, it's not easy to put in a police report, I imagine.
And they're probably more likely to have cash on them and more money on them than other people around, because they're doing touristy things and they're spending money. So, yeah, I mean, it's a normal... I mean, I used to work on the tourist buses, selling tickets for tourist buses in the middle of Sol. And you'd be sitting there serving people, and you'd see the same pickpockets go past all the time. So there's plenty of them around. So you just got to be careful. But it's nothing really violent. Not much. I mean, you get you see on the TV every now and then. It's a capital city, so you're going to get something. You see, there's jewelry heists and stuff like that. Sometimes but muggings in the streets, not really heard much of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, if you compare any European city with, other cities around the world, especially when you, obviously in some of the poorer countries, obviously you don't get a lot of those crimes that you would get maybe in some South American countries, obviously. A lot of people tend to, I get the impression a lot of people tend to compare Spain with your Mexicos and your Venezuelas. Really? Well, people that don't know. Do you know what I mean? So they think that obviously Spain is the language spoken. Spanish is the language spoken. So you'd have the same characteristics in some of the countries as well. I mean, one of the comments that I got yesterday or the day before was, "Is Spain a clean country?" Compared to what? I mean,
what are you comparing it to?
Are you comparing it to Switzerland?
In which way?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'll see. I'll see if I can find the comment, but.
Dog excrement, definitely not. Far from it. In other ways, I think it's a very clean country. I think it all really does depend on what you're comparing it to, and also I think it's actually very scary the amount of people, tourists or even people that are coming over to live, that come from another country, come here and have absolutely no knowledge of the country whatsoever. I've been in the middle of Sol and had an American guy come up to me and ask me which metro stop he had to get off of to go to the beach.
Here?
Yeah. And I sort of looked at him and he was being dead serious. I just said, well, if you get on the metro, take the line 8, that'll take you to the airport, jump on a plane, Barcelona. I said, I'm sure there's a metro stop somewhere near a beach in Barcelona, but I said, here, I think you're going to find it difficult.
There's not one here, no. Well, the question was, is there any extreme poverty in Spain, and is Spain clean overall? Now, this person got 3 replies here from the community. Of course it's clean. What do you think? Was the first one. Well, you must be living under a rock to ask such questions. LMAO. And Spain is pretty damn clean, I can tell you that. Really safe too. Extreme poverty? ? It's Europe, dude, not Afghanistan, was one of the comments here. So some people do get that impression that there are similarities between, as I said before, the Spanish-speaking countries. But in that regard, I obviously I've only ever been to Argentina. I haven't been to a lot of places in South America. But I mean, you can't compare the Central American countries or a lot of the South American countries with what you have in Europe in general. I don't think. Yeah,
well, the thing is, people do make those comparisons. But what this guy has actually said, the comment, I don't actually.
Which one? The main comment?
The actual main comment. I don't think there's any need for anyone, Spanish people or anyone else, to take offence to his comment. I mean, at least he's asking. The amount of people actually turn up here and have not asked, have not made any sort of effort to find out about Spain before they arrive is ridiculous. So I mean, at least this guy's he's made a comment, he's asked a question, and he's obviously has no idea about Spain. But
well, the point that you said here is Spain clean overall. Now, let's classify what we think he means by clean. Streets are clean.
Streets are pretty clean. I mean, we have, especially in Rivas, we have a lot of people cleaning up all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. What else could you think? Dog excrement, as you said, probably not.
That's a problem. I think that's a problem all over Madrid as well, and I don't know why. I really don't, because in general, Madrid's a pretty clean place, but for some very weird reason, there's dog excrement everywhere. You have to.
My recommendation is that always walk with your head down.
Honestly, I do that when I take the dog out for a walk.
Yeah.
I literally have to go around looking where I'm walking because I'm dodging dog poo everywhere.
Yeah. And there's some streets that are worse than others.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one particular street here which is at the back of a high school, just down the road here. That is unbelievable how dirty that street is. It's just like people deliberately go to that street with their dog soaked in his crap.
Unfortunately, it seems to. It's the last week. There's all of a sudden been an increment in the amount of excrements that are on the street where I live.
Why is that?
Nearby, and it's been in the last week.
Is that one particular person?
And I think it's one particular dog. So I don't know what's changed or what it is. It's always the same. I mean, analysing dog poo here. I can't believe I'm doing this on a video, but it's always the same size and everything. So I'm pretty sure it's the same dog. So I don't know whether it's someone different taking a dog out, someone who's got a new dog and just isn't looking after it properly. But it's all of a sudden there's just this dog poo everywhere. And it's amazing if one person starts letting their dog poo on the streets.
Yeah.
Well, it only takes a few days for that to suddenly start becoming a problem because it's all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dog goes to the toilet twice a day. Boom.
Yeah, well, that's
it's
it.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I'm surprised because we have a school, as we've mentioned before, just across the road, and amazing how you would see that somebody's let their dog do its business in front of a school. I mean, you've got to be a real twat to.
Right word for it, yeah.
To do that, right?
Yeah, you got to be in it. Well, basically, I mean, let's face it, you've got to be a complete arsehole to do it.
Yeah,
and you can beep that out later. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be a bad person to do that. It doesn't take 5 seconds to put your hand in a plastic bag and pick it up. And there's bins everywhere. I mean, that's something you can say about Rivas for sure. There's paper baskets.
Well, that's a good point.
There's bins everywhere.
There are bins everywhere. Yeah, there are bins everywhere. I still see. This is something I haven't seen in Australia for a while. I have seen people still empty their ashtrays when on the street and in car parks, for example.
Really?
There's an area that we have up here that's a common place for kids or teenagers to get together on a Friday and Saturday night. They go to McDonald's, they get the takeaway, and they just leave it all over the place. That's that botellón effect as well. I don't know what it is about the botellón, but people don't like to clean up after themselves.
If you analyse the society at the moment, if you look at the teenagers now, I have to admit the teenagers in the last 10 years have got a lot dirtier. They're leaving a lot more rubbish around. If you go to McDonald's, places like that, I mean, okay, the staff are paid to clear up, but if you've got a like rush hour, very busy area, and you've got people coming on and off the tables all the time, people just don't take the rubbish off the tables and stuff. That's a restaurant though, it's a different story, I know. But if you look around, there's a lot of kids that go around, they leave bottles and just throw cans on the floor and stuff. The lucky thing we've got here is that we do have people clearing it up on a regular basis. There'll be people like me as well. I mean, we're going out taking the dogs for a walk. You see a can on the road, you just pick it up with a bin sort of 50 metres away.
So you're doing your bit.
To pick up things every now and again. What I won't do is pick up other dogs' poo. I mean, I'm not going to do that. But it's just one of those things. You've got to civil.
Well, that's what it's all about as well. And there's always been, at least it's always been my impression that Spanish people are very clean in their homes, but when they're in the street, sometimes they're not. Do you know what I mean?
You can say that about
you can't.
Anyone really. Though,
Well, you can, but a lot of homes are impeccable. But as you said, they'll take their dog out and bang.
Yeah, that to me is the biggest problem at the moment is the dog poo. That's the biggest issue. Apart from that, I mean, in general, Spain's a very clean country. I think some people do misinterpret some traditions or say ways of life in Spain,
like in bars.
Dirty. Exactly. A lot of tourists see the bars. In bars, it's very normal for people to get their tapas, and they've got a little wooden stick in it, a cocktail stick in,
or a chicken wing,
and they just throw the rubbish on the floor. I mean, I got to admit, when I got here, I was like, oh, that's gross. You know what? Can't you just put it in the bin? But you get someone come around every half an hour clearing up the floor, and it's just a typical Spanish bar. And I think maybe people sort of interpret that as the Spanish are dirty and the country's dirty, but it's not the case. It's a typical thing that happens in bars, and to be honest, it's happening a lot less now than it was in the past as well. So
yeah, I think there is not only that as well, but you do notice that, for example, there's a lot of people sitting outdoors and having meals as well, having a coffee, having a snack, having a meal. And sometimes when it's a little bit windy, I have seen serviettes fly off tables, and
that's going to happen, isn't it?
Of course, yeah, and especially if you're on the coast, and there's what the coasts are like here in Spain. Restaurants every 2 meters, and a lot of rubbish does fly off onto the street. But as you said, people come around and pick it up, and they try to keep these areas reasonably clean. Of course, one person's what's clean for one person might be dirty for another, you know. So it's difficult to talk about that. Is there extreme poverty in Spain? Was his other question. Extreme poverty? No.
Extreme poverty. There's poverty.
There's always going to be people living below the poverty line, according to the those statistics.
Yeah.
But extreme poverty. Well, I'm going to say that there is, because
homeless people. That's extreme poverty.
Yeah, well, we have an area here which is the Cañada.
Yep.
There's people living there in extreme poverty, I think.
Extreme poverty? I mean, there's definitely poverty in Spain. I mean, that's for sure, but I think it's poverty everywhere. Wherever you go, there's always going to be people who've got money and people that haven't. Sometimes it's their fault, sometimes it's the fault of society, and sometimes it's just a fact of life. Not everyone can be rich. But I think extreme poverty in Spain, only the type of extreme poverty you'd expect to find in any country when you've got people that are homeless. There's some people that get themselves mixed up in drugs and drink, and they end up homeless. They lose everything they've got. Some people have problems with betting, gambling, and end up the same way. Some people are just unlucky, and they've just ended up on the streets. You're going to get extreme poverty in any country, I think, but I don't think it's something you would relate to with Spain. I think you'd think of Spain and think of extreme poverty. No.
Well, this is that point that I mentioned before, that I think people are confusing Spain with some of the more poorer countries of South America. Maybe I think that could be the case. I have had some examples of people confusing the as I said, the language with and those countries as well. When it comes to the safety issue, again, I'll talked about this before. When it comes to alcohol-related violence, I don't find Spain to be violent compared to Australia, for example. No,
I mean, you tend to have more alcohol-related incidences in the UK, I think, than in Spain, mainly because the people that do drink in the UK and they're out drinking, they go out drinking.
They drink hard.
They drink hard and for shorter periods of time, whereas in Spain, people go out different times of the day. It's spread out over longer periods of time. I don't think there's so many drink-related problems because of that, really. I think that's one of the biggest things. There isn't throwing out time, which is what we do have in the UK.
Yeah.
The pubs all shut at 11 in general. I mean, not all of them now.
People get a few pints in before.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I don't think it's as problematic in Spain as in other countries. But you do get alcohol-related instances, obviously.
No, of course, yeah. But from a safety point of view, where you can take the family to an area where there are bars and restaurants,
no, it's not an issue. I think not really.
It's not an issue like I have seen, as I said, in Australia and in some other parts that I've been to as well, where people start to get a little bit loud and they start to get a little bit aggressive sometimes as well, and you don't tend to get that.
I'd be more concerned on the roads.
On the roads?
Yeah, I find that
with driving,
not as safe. Yeah,
drinking and driving. You mean?
Especially in those sort of areas, you're going to get people that people do drink and drive here more than I've certainly ever seen in any other country that I've really been to for much time.
Yeah.
But I think that's changing as well. I think that's improving. But I think that's a different problem. Drinking and driving.
Drinking and driving. Yeah, there's not as many breath testing going on, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't see the police pulling people over randomly or especially in the centre. That's just one thing I've noticed. You go to this city centre, maybe in the UK, especially certainly in my town, you're going to see the police doing random stops.
I've never been stopped
in Spain.
Never.
When I lived in the village outside of Madrid, I got stopped quite regularly there.
By the Guardia Civil.
Yeah, probably once every 2-3 months maybe I'd be stopped, random stops there. I do believe that did have something to do with the whole ETA problem, the terrorist problem. In the past they were doing sort of random stops to try and stop these people coming into the centre and that, but especially in vans, which is what I was driving. But in general, I think around Rivas.
They do target white vans.
Yeah,
obviously, because they could be moving something that could be a little bit suspicious. But I mean, compared to Australia, you could argue Australia's it's a nanny state or police state or whatever you want to call it. I mean, but when I went home last year, and we were stopped 3 times maybe for random breath testing. 3 times. Obviously, it's the Christmas time of the year, but the police there are just over the top compared to here. I mean, here you're going to get a control.
But I think here they do these random stops differently here. Yeah. They pick a specific place where they think people are going to go near the motorway. So they either stop you on the motorway, so on the A3 they'll actually close a huge section of the A3, push you onto the service road.
But that's also because of the drug problem in the
But they do that in other parts as well, I think. So I mean, so I think it's a big random sort of test on a major road, and they test a lot of people. And then on the entrances to Rivas as well. So if you come off of Rivas, off the main road, off the motorway, and you come around,
get a control every now and then.
Yeah, you get controls there as well, but not in Rivas. You don't get. I've never seen
the local police. The local police don't go out of their way. No.
Well, maybe it's not their job.
It is. It is.
Oh, it is their job. I always see the Guardia Civil stopping them.
But this is why the Guardia Civil are only doing that area down there, because that's their competency as the national road. But as soon as they come in here, they have a limited responsibility.
But it's amazing the amount of people. I'd go out for a drink with friends and family, or go out for lunch more or a dinner, and everyone would be ordering the drinks. So like 3 beers, 4 beers, 5. Okay, John, I'll have a Diet Coke or whatever,
You're driving.
And they're like, why are you having a Coke? So I've got a car. It's only one drink. You only live 100 metres away. And I'm like, yeah, but I've got to drive. And it's like, and they just don't get that at all.
You got to get home. That's it. All right. Well, on that note, we'll call it a day. Thanks for your participation again here, John.
No problem.
Thanks to everybody who has watched or listened to the podcast. Remember, you can download the podcast on all of the major podcast platforms. Also see it here on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Questions or comments in the section below, and we'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.